1. The key. I'm late today, and I have to leave for work very quickly. I am jumping into my car. As I turn onto the freeway, I'm suddenly not sure if I took my door key with me. I'm touching my bag. My God, I forgot my key, I say aloud. I make a U-turn and drive back as fast as I can. I park my car right in front of my door, although it's not normally where one is allowed to park or to stop a car. I live on the 3rd floor and still run up the stairs, hoping to get away with it. I'm looking for the key in my apartment, but I cannot find it right away. After a few minutes, I come to the realization I had left the key in my jacket. I'm running downstairs back to the car. I'm looking around. Where's my car? In the distance, I see a tow truck pulling my car off. 2. What is culture? I sit with several students in a cafe in Paris. We have an international meeting. Americans, French, and Germans sit at a table and discuss. The American asks, "What does culture mean in this country?" I say, "That term can mean a lot. Literature, theater, art, or even the way we speak, including the way you conduct yourself." "Does it also include behavior?" asks the American. "Behavior in general terms probably is a part of it," says the German. "So that means when I behave, I have culture?" asks the American, smiling. "More or less," I reply, "but education and manners would also describe culture." "Can one say in France as well that I have culture, and you do not?" asks the American. "No, that would be arrogant," I assert. 3. Food poisoning. My brother Mark feels terrible. He's been in bed since yesterday. He has nausea, a headache, coughing, and diarrhea. He also feels exhausted. My father drives my brother to the doctor. He explains the conditions to the doctor, and the doctor examines Mark. The doctor finds out that Mark has food poisoning. It's a dangerous situation because Mark is already dehydrated. The doctor also prescribes that Mark stay in bed and take strong medication twice a day. My brother believes his food poisoning comes from a kebab he had eaten the day before when he stopped downtown. 4. The neighbor. My mother and I are watching our new neighbor. Every morning at 8 o'clock, he leaves his house. We're watching him from the kitchen window. The man is young and wears a suit and tie. We think he's a man of class. He is always coming and going at a particular time. My mother also has many friends and often invites strange men into the house as well. The men are very friendly and often give my mother gifts. After their visits, we sometimes have a lot of cash on hand. Just when the men have left, we usually rush to the mall to go shopping one day. We meet the new neighbor in the supermarket. My mother smiles at the man. They start talking. The neighbor comes to our house and spends time with my mother. A month later, my mother says, "We're going to move soon. We will live with Jeff, our neighbor. I convinced him to let us live with him." 5. Headache. Mrs. Meyer has a severe headache. The doctor examines her shoulder and prescribes the woman pills that she has to take every day. In addition, the doctor gives the woman a list of activities to do. She is supposed to do yoga and meditation regularly, as the doctor states that the headaches come from stress. The woman does the activities for several days, but the headaches do not go away. After a week, she goes back to the doctor. "Do you feel better?" asks the doctor. She says no, and that she always gets a headache when she's nervous. Do you sleep enough? She states that she doesn't know. After further investigation, the doctor prescribes pills for nervousness, tablets for stress, and Valium for sleeping. At home, Mrs. Meyer now has a big box full of pills and tablets. 6. A new driver's license. 3 days ago, I received my driver's license. With a driving license, I can drive almost any car in the United Kingdom and in most other European countries as well. I received my license shortly after my 18th birthday. It's important that I can use my license everywhere because I need to drive to Spain soon. Unlike in other countries, such as the US, the making of a driver's license in Europe can be very expensive, but there are some differences in Europe. For instance, in Germany, a driver's license is valid for as long as you live. Today I will be on the highway alone for the first time, driving my father's car, a Porsche. I'm going to drive slowly and leave the beer bottles at home. 7. New Year's Eve in Europe. New Year's Eve is always the night of December 31st in Germany, France, and Italy. Most people celebrate New Year's Eve with friends and family. At midnight, there are always fireworks. Most families also prepare a special meal. A typical New Year's meal is carp, goose, or hot dogs. Germans also love potato salad. Often, New Year's Eve is an occasion for many people to drink lots of alcohol. Most young people also go to parties, and some even go dancing. On the 1st of January is a holiday all over the continent, with almost all businesses closed. On the 2nd of January, however, it's a normal working day in Europe 8. Invoices and contracts. I am a student from France and live in a small apartment outside of London. Every month, I have to pay a lot of bills. The rent is an important bill and costs me more than anything else. Every month I pay the rent, the water bill, my phone, and the electricity bill. I usually have the bills automatically deducted from my account. If my account is empty, I will wire transfer the money. Contracts must be taken seriously and are very important in England. If you breach a contract in this country, you will certainly get into trouble. If your income is fluctuating, it is probably best to avoid contracts. 9. World traveler. I was born in Dayton, Ohio, but to tell the truth, I never felt very comfortable there. Fortunately, I discovered different countries when I was still a teenager. My parents traveled a lot, and we were lucky to be able to live in different countries. For I can remember Asia, especially Japan, has always fascinated me. Europe is interesting, but most countries are not easy to live in, although the culture and especially the food was always the best. When I got a little older, I started to travel by myself. I drove to Mexico and traveled all the way down to Panama. These were, of course, more adventurous than ordinary travels. I can honestly say that travel is educating in many ways. You also learn different cultures, and I got quite good at developing social skills. Most Americans travel only within their own country, and there is nothing wrong with that, but I feel that international experiences educate more and are good for the brain. 10. Hobby chef. My name is Suzanne, and today I'm going to show you how to make schnitzel. I prefer beef steak, but many people also like to eat pork. First, I cut the beef into thin slices. Then I'll hit them with my flat hand until they're right. I sprinkle both sides with salt and pepper. I prepare 3 plates. On the first plate, I have flour. The second plate, a beaten egg. And on the third plate, I have breadcrumbs. The slices are first laid into the flour, then onto the egg, and finally turned onto the breadcrumbs. The meat is fried from both sides for 2 to 3 minutes in a frying pan. 11. The break-in. I have slept restlessly all night. I sleep alone, and suddenly there's a bang. I jump out of bed. I put on a pair of pants and examine the house. I hear footsteps. They're coming out of the living room. When I enter the living room, it's empty. There's no one there. Now I notice that the balcony is open. I turn on the lights and look around. The cupboards are open, and on the floor are all my things. There were burglars here. I feel bad, but quickly notice that there is nothing missing. Everything is messy, but the burglars didn't take anything. They were looking for cash and jewelry. I believe they were drug addicts because they only stole cash. I don't want to call the police. The next day, I'll get a gun 12. A broken phone. I haven't been able to charge my phone for days. At first, I thought it was on the charger. This may not be the reason because the charger also works with another phone. Luckily, I know a shop where they can fix it. I have to leave the phone there for a day so it can be investigated. The next day, I go back to the business to pick up my phone. I have a strange feeling. The salesman shows me my phone and opens it. Everything seems to be black. The man tells me the phone was damaged by a short circuit. The repair would cost $200. He also says that the phone has become wet, and that's how it broke. Today he has an offer for a new phone. The new phone costs only $300. I have no choice but to buy a new phone. I'm never going to use my phone in the bathtub again. 13. The painters. This morning, the painters came. It was overdue, as our house looked quite dilapidated. The painters brought a ladder and started to paint the outside walls. Each wall must be painted with white paint. They carry a bucket of paint, a brush, and a roll. With a roll, one can paint many walls in a short amount of time. Only 1 day should be necessary for our small house. But they're not done yet. Tomorrow, the interior walls in the house must be painted. The painters want to be paid immediately in cash and with no questions asked. 14. Quitting. Next month, Sammy is going to be 30 years old. The problem is, he's been smoking cigarettes for over 10 years. He has tried all kinds of tricks and methods to stop smoking. Nothing has helped, and he knows he needs treatment. By chance, he has found out about a few small uninhabited islands that belong to the U.S. beneath the Canadian border. There are no public ferries, and they seem to be the ideal place to quit smoking. After a week, Sammy is already on the island. He plans to stay a week until all the nicotine has left his body. As he arrives, he throws his last package into the bushes. After 3 days, Sammy is almost bored to death. Interestingly, he finds an almost full bottle of whiskey in the bushes. He has nothing else to do but drink the whiskey. All of a sudden, he begins hearing music. After investigating the source, he finds an old man sitting in front of a cave, listening to music and smoking a cigar. "What are you doing here?" asks Sammy. The old man is also surprised. "I'm here to give up alcohol. And you?" "I am trying to quit smoking. Is this your bottle of whiskey?" "Yes, and I imagine this is your tobacco package, isn't it?" Sammy nods. He feels very dizzy. "Listen, can I have my cigarettes back?" "Of course, if you also give me the whiskey bottle back." In the end, the men agree and continue to do the things they did before. Swimming. We are a group of boys and are avid swimmers. Most of us are 12 years old, and only our friend Peter is 11. Every Friday afternoon we go to the public swimming pool. First, we need to go to the locker rooms. There we change our clothing to proper swimwear, and after that, we'll take a shower. Before and after swimming, one has to take a shower, which is obligatory in public swimming pools. Sometimes taking a shower takes quite some time because we like to make jokes and are fooling around. Once in the swimming pool, we jump from the plank and swim around. We start with 1,000 feet breaststroke. After that, we usually go on to 20 minutes of freestyle. Towards the end, we just play water ball. At the edge of the pool, a lifeguard is always there observing us. Last week, when we were finished swimming, we didn't shower afterward because an unknown child had left his excrements in the shower. 16. Dialogue, the weekly farmer's market. My family loves to buy fresh products from local farms. That's why we all go on Saturdays to the farmer's market. My husband is a hobby chef, and he only buys vegetables at the market. Our favorite stand is at the end of the market, where we can also buy fresh herbs. "Good morning, Lisa and Harry. So nice to see you again." "Good morning, Bill. What is the freshest thing you have today?" "Harry, you know that all my products are fresh. Everything has just arrived directly from the eco-farm." "So, from all the tables and stalls here, you deliver them here first?" "That's right. I am here at the entrance of the market. That's why my tables come first." "Okay, Bill. Then we will have 2 pounds of tomatoes and about 3 pounds of potatoes, and also a bundle of carrots, please. Anything else?" "Do you also sell figs?" "No, they don't grow around here." "Okay, how much do I owe you?" "That's $6 total." 17. The experiment. At school, Sandra asks her classmates, "Is it true that old people smell different?" Her friend Gabby replies, "Well, they all smell rotten." John laughs. "No, only the dead are rotten. Old people are not dead yet. They are still alive." Gabby chuckles. "All right, then we will call them mature. But as a matter of fact, I don't care how we call old people. I just don't want to be near them." John raises his hand. "Wait a minute. I once saw an experiment on YouTube. It shows that old people don't smell any different. Scientists let 3 groups of people sleep in shirts: old, middle-aged, and young. Each person had to sleep in the same shirt for 5 nights, and the shirts were not washed. Then they asked volunteers to smell the shirts. The volunteers didn't know which shirt came from what group, but all agreed and said that the shirts of the old people smelled the best. What kind of volunteers were these people who want to smell old people's shirts? Asks Sandra John. They were, of course, old retirees. 18. Dialogue: Bicycle paths in a European city. Last week, I rode a bike to the university. There were 2 bicycle paths on the road. On the opposite side was a young girl. She looked very beautiful. She rode with me parallel in one direction. Suddenly she stopped and yelled at me, "You're driving on the wrong side." We both stopped. She came closer. "Don't you know the traffic rules?" she asked me. I said, "I just wanted to save time." She replied, "You don't save time if you hurt someone. An accident could damage your bike. You could end up in the hospital. You have to take your time. Accidents happen every day because people don't have time. Do you want to get hurt as well?" I then ask her, "Are you married?" 19. New neighbors. Since I moved into a new apartment, I've also got new neighbors. A family lives above us, and the children are still small. Sometimes I hear them play. At night, the parents are seldom at home, and the children often scream strangely. A young man is living next to our apartment as well. He is a student and lives alone, except he keeps a cat in his apartment. When we meet in the stairwell, he usually greets me. Next week, we all have a so-called tenants meeting where all the tenants of the apartment meet and talk about common affairs. I'm looking forward to the meeting, as I will have my say about what's right and wrong within this Building 20. The funeral. Last week, my grandma died. The whole family is very sad. The funeral will take place in the late afternoon, and perhaps some of the family will join together for a dinner at a restaurant. By tradition, most of the dead are buried, but cremations are becoming more common, as some people think it's more practical. When people go to a funeral, they meet in the church first. There everybody can see the coffin, nicely decorated with wreaths and flowers. The pastor makes a speech about the life of the deceased. Then everybody meets outside. The coffin is carried by the bearers to the tomb. The family and friends follow the carriers, and at the end, the coffin is slowly dropped into a large hole. As a final goodbye, my parents and siblings throw earth on the coffin. 21. The ATM. Tomorrow is the weekend. I want to pay cash in the supermarket and go to the movies later. Before that, I have to go to the ATM to withdraw money. First, I put my card in the ATM. A prompt will appear on the screen to enter my secret number. The secret number, also known as the PIN, is made up of 4 numbers. After that, I gain access to my account. I can also see on the screen how high my account balance is. I decide to withdraw 50 euros. After I withdraw the money, I have to take my card out. Finally, I get a receipt. 22. Alcoholics. Nowadays, many people drink too much alcohol. Worldwide, there are millions of alcoholics. That is why many people die of alcohol-related diseases such as cirrhosis. However, it seems everyone drinks alcohol in one way or another. It is socially acceptable, so the question is, how harmful can alcohol really be? Most doctors and experts agree that it is the daily amount that makes the most difference. Too much alcohol can damage many organs, especially the brain, the stomach, and the intestines. There are also many reasons why someone can become an alcoholic. Psychologists have found out that one of the main reasons someone grabs a bottle is loneliness and frustration. Defeating addiction can be very difficult, but it is also not impossible either. Most alcoholics can treat themselves by just cutting the amount or stopping by changing their behavior, but a doctor can also help with therapy. A special role can be played with the support of friends and family as well. 23. Cutting the cable cord. Over the years, our cable TV subscription has become more of a burden than enjoyment. We are not rich and have to count every dollar carefully that we spend. One of the more unnecessary luxuries we treat ourselves to is cable TV. Our kids love it, and my husband is watching sports and news channels all the time. However, our monthly bill is dangerously approaching the $200 mark, something we no longer can ignore. Since no one in our family is very familiar with modern technology, I had to do some research myself. Streaming TV via a so-called stick seems to do the trick. I convinced my husband to buy a smart TV and a little device called Roku. Ever since, we are all watching TV via streaming channels such as Sling, PlayStation Vue, and others. We are saving a lot of money as a result. Of course, nothing in life is free. We have to pay for the channels every month, but they are still much cheaper than cable TV. The bottom line is this: rather, new technology is cheaper, and we are also free from a constant bombardment of advertising 24. Foreigners in Britain. In England, there are many landmarks for sightseeing trips and popular tourist destinations in general. Probably the most visited cities by foreign tourists are London, Brighton, Yorkshire, and probably Britain's most visited sightseeing spot is the mysterious Stonehenge. Most foreign visitors want to stay in London, as there are hundreds of famous places to see: Westminster Abbey, Big Ben, the Buckingham Palace, Piccadilly Circus, and the British Museum are probably even some of the most visited places worldwide. London alone has over 19 million visitors per year, and since the British pound has fallen sharply over the last few years, the UK will continue to be a very popular destination. The most common reason why foreigners like Britain is probably its culture, for instance, tea time, pub culture, and the Queen, but also its history that seems to be everywhere and connected to everything in their culture. 25. The Tourist Guide. Carlos was born and raised in Veracruz, Mexico, but he has been living in New Jersey for over a decade. Since he had an accident and no one could help take care of him, he decided to go back to his country and live there with his family. Now he is a tour guide for American tourists in Cancun. When the cruise ships come, there are virtually thousands of English-speaking tourists who not only want to see the beaches and restaurants, but are keen to explore the countryside and what the surrounding culture has to offer. Carlos accepts group tours as well as individual tourists. He is quite popular and made himself a name as a knowledgeable guide who has gained a small fan community on various online travel platforms. The tours usually start early in the morning and last until late afternoon. Many tourists wonder how Carlos speaks English without an accent. He tells them a little about himself, but that usually leads to more private questions. Carlos is not oblivious. For each question, he has prepared a perfect answer. This is something he had learned in the U.S. 26. To the airport today begins my holiday, and I will take a flight to visit my family. At 11 o'clock, A taxi picks me up to take me to the airport. The taxi ride takes about 1 hour and will cost me around $60. After that, I still have enough time until my flight departs. I have already packed my suitcase. Packing is no child's game, with everything needing to be planned and considered. If I forget something, I will probably have to buy it at some expense at my destination. It is already 1 minute before 11, and I am getting impatient. Finally, the taxi arrives. The driver helps me to carry my suitcase from the house to the car. I take the back seat and watch the meter charge me $1 for every 100 yards or so. Sometimes they offer fixed rates, but not this company. I think it's different in every city and state. Anyway, as we arrive, I give the driver a tip since he didn't take unnecessary detours. 27. The big move. We have planned to move to another city. Everything has been planned for weeks, but this Friday we'll finally make the move. All our household items have been packed in boxes. Most of the furniture has been carefully wrapped in blankets and foil. Additionally, we have made a list of which items are in which boxes. This will help us to save time when we unpack our stuff. It is difficult to make a move like this alone, which is why we have asked friends to help us. We also leased a truck for that day. Since we are doing everything ourselves, with a little help from friends and neighbors, we are saving a lot of money. Professional moving companies are expensive, and we would rather save our money to buy additional furniture since the new house is larger than the old one, 28. Driving and parking. In Germany, I just moved to Germany. This is clearly a country for cars. The highway is called Autobahn, and these are excellent roads for high-speed car travel. Most Germans have a garage, and some families even own several cars. But not all is perfect in this country. Most Germans know that in the inner cities there is no free parking. If you are looking for a free parking space where you are also allowed to, you might drive around for hours until you find one. Parking garages can be very expensive, especially if you need one for a whole day or even long term. People who live in the city often need to apply for a resident parking card. In this country, every resident needs to be registered with the authorities, which can be a good or a very bad thing. Those who cannot get a residence parking card but need to park their car in the centers have to leave their car on the fringes of the city and use public transportation. 29. Grocery shopping. My name is Fatima. I am originally from the Middle East, but I am living in England where I have made myself quite comfortable, especially since I can live here with my family. Grocery shopping is one of my daily needs. Usually I do this in the morning when fewer customers visit the supermarkets. To save money, I always prepare a list. For instance, today I need rice, vegetables, milk, sardines, and pasta. If I find cheap offers, I buy more of it. Potatoes and pork are not on my menus very often, as it's something more for the British. In most supermarkets, you have to pack your bags yourself, and you can pay with your credit card. 30. A clean house. Once a year, I need to clean the whole house thoroughly. This happens usually in springtime when there is less moisture in the house. We are a rather large family with 4 children, all of them teenagers, so the mess and dirt are piling up quickly. Our house is a rather typical single-family house with an attached garage and a small attic. The living room is openly connected with the kitchen. We also have an extra freezer outside the house where we store meat. Some of it comes from the hunting that my father usually does on weekends. Anyway, when we start, we first clean the rooms of the kids. We clean the floor and wipe the windows. We need to mop the floor more than once until it shines and looks like new. I clean the furniture, and usually I need about half a day to get the kitchen clean. My brother cleans the garage and helps to bring the trash out. We are a clean and functioning family with a clean house and healthy children. We are rightfully proud of ourselves. 31. Future plans in Mexico. I am on vacation in Mexico and walking on the beach. I am staring at the sea. My thoughts wander into the future. What will my future be like? What am I supposed to do? I am dreaming of finishing my education with a doctoral degree in medicine. Then I really could become a doctor and work in a hospital. I could even have my own business. I also imagine becoming a plastic surgeon. I know they make a lot of money, and most have an excellent reputation. Some of them even have become celebrities. My thoughts wander further. I could also finish my education with honors and then finish my life. But then again, I like where I am right now. Perhaps I should just stay here in Mexico and spend my life in a hammock. 32. Dialogue. Dining European style. Unlike in the US, in many European countries, a customer can just enter a restaurant and choose an available seat where you feel comfortable. However, in more upscale restaurants, most often there are no menus on the table, so you would have to ask the waiter to bring you one. The waiters usually wear a white shirt and black trousers. They also carry a little notebook to notate orders. Often a conversation between a customer and a waiter follows this pattern. Waiter. Good evening. Have you already found something that you would like to order? Customer. I will take a schnitzel and a salad, number 5 on the menu. Waiter. That's okay. What would you like to drink? Customer. Just mineral water. Waiter. With or without gas? Customer. Still water with little gas. Waiter. So you want a salad, a schnitzel, and a mineral water with little gas, correct? The customer nods. After the meal, the customer asks, "Bill, please." A tip is always voluntary, and in most countries is not included in the bill. 33. Our bicycle tour. We are 2 young men on vacation in Holland. In this country, everyone has a bicycle, and it's part of their culture. That's why we rented a bicycle for a whole week to explore not only big cities such as Amsterdam, but also the countryside. From the early morning to late at night, we are riding our bicycles, and each day we try to cover longer distances. Normally, we ride about 50 kilometers per day. There are no mountains to speak of, so we can ride as fast as we can. Our bicycles are fully equipped, with head and tail lights, gear shifts, a bell, and even an air pump. Besides those, we also wear a helmet and a colored shirt. We'd like to think of ourselves as semi-professional bicycle riders. For me, it is more of a sport, but my friend already dreams of participating in the Tour de France 34, a visit to the doctor. Elsa seriously thought she was pregnant. Her stomach already looked like she had swallowed a few basketballs when she decided it was time to call her doctor to hear the results from the last exams. But just like last time, the doctor confirmed that she wasn't pregnant at all. Still, over the next few weeks, Elsa gained more pounds. In addition, the shape of her stomach had become strange. It looked like a huge potato. The scale showed over 300 pounds, and Elsa just couldn't find an explanation. Eventually, Elsa checked herself into a hospital for cosmetic surgery, basically to suck out the fat from her body. When Elsa left the hospital, she weighed only 100 pounds. She asked the surgeon about her condition. The doctor pointed his finger at the lawn in front of the hospital. "Do you see that donkey on the lawn? We pulled that out of your body. Now, you are healed." 35. The Spanish Restaurant. Frank has recently opened a restaurant in the Bay Area, and his specialty is Spanish cuisine. Actually, the restaurant is part of his house that has also a large garden and is very spacious. One night, just when he wanted to close, a young couple came in. His wife, who works in the kitchen, wondered why her husband is still letting guests in. "Frank, the kitchen is already closed. Besides, we don't have enough in the refrigerator to cook 2 more meals." Frank shakes his head. "We do. I still have a rabbit in there." "But most people don't like rabbit," his wife complains. "I know a very old recipe from an old cookbook. Just let me try." "How long does it take until you have cooked this recipe?" "It will take about an hour. I still have to pull off the fur since I shot the rabbit in the garden myself earlier." 36. The Mysterious Lamp. What Bruno Schmidt wanted to buy originally in this German flea market was a drum. He figured that to find a decent drum, he had to go to a large flea market. It's in a major city and usually takes place on weekends. So it was on Sunday that he saw a large red drum on a table that also offered a lot of broken stuff and old, seemingly useless items. For some reason, the vendor didn't want to sell him the drum. "Can you not read?" the old vendor asked him. He pointed his finger at a handmade sign that said, "Take everything for 100 euros. It seemed the man didn't want to sell only the drum. Then Bruno saw an old vintage lamp that looked really interesting. A typical lamp with a shade that one would put into the bedroom. He could use a lamp like that. Bruno asked the man if he could buy the drum and the lamp together. The old man nodded. Bruno took a closer look at the lamp. There were old decoration lines on the lampshade which also had old pergament and bright color. Then he saw what looked like a long number in the corner of the shade. Was that a tattoo? "What is the lampshade made of?" Bruno asked the man. "I don't think it's animal skin," answered the man. "I bought it myself at the flea market in Buchenwald." 37. Not always. Fish and chips. Molly runs a small restaurant in a small town in southern England. She sells fish and chips, but her most popular dish is hamburgers. She has been in the restaurant business for a long time, and since she is always eating her food in the restaurant, she doesn't feel very healthy. She thinks all the grease and fried meals have taken their toll on her health. She tells this to some of her regular customers, and most agree she should offer healthier food. Other customers, however, have pointed out that she should keep her restaurant cleaner since there are a lot of cockroaches. Sometimes they can be seen on the tables. Eventually, Molly buys several cookbooks about healthy food, especially exotic Asian food, as it fascinates her. One day, Molly has a brilliant idea. After a few days of trial and error, Molly sells Asian diet hamburgers. The customers like them, and some even think of them as fantastic. One regular customer asks Molly, "What is the secret of this new and tasty hamburger?" She tells him the meat is made of insects, which is very common in Asia, and that she catches the insects all in her own restaurant, 38. An unusual marriage. Mr. Meyer is a public accountant but works in a large insurance company. He has an excellent reputation for being reliable and having a high work ethic. In a short time, he has risen to upper management. However, over the last few weeks, Mr. Meyer has often been sick. It also seems he is not very focused, with his colleagues saying that he is distracted by something Mr. Meyer actually has a secret. For some time he has been engaged to his new girlfriend, but the real secret is that he met her on the street. The first time he met her, he paid for her time. One day he tells his colleagues that he plans to marry his fiancée. One of his colleagues has always been suspicious and envious of him. After some research on the internet, he finds out that Mr. Meyer's fiancée has a questionable past. He reports his findings to the directors. They give Mr. Meyer a choice. He can keep his job, but he must not marry that woman, or he must leave the company. Mr. Meyer is desperate. Should he marry the woman or keep his job? Eventually, Mr. Meyer tells his bosses, "I will marry, but I am not going to marry the woman. I will instead marry my office if you give me a lifetime contract." 39. New shoes. Today, Gilbert is going to buy new shoes. In a shoe store, he asks the salesperson if they also have working shoes. The man replies that they actually have working shoes on sale for a special price. Gilbert sees a particularly nice pair of shoes on the shelf. He asks if they'd have these shoes in his size. The salesperson replies, "Sorry, they come as they are, with no guarantees for shoes on sale." Gilbert checks the price and buys the shoe ad hoc. The next day, Gilbert is wearing his new shoes. However, in the evening he comes back with one foot limping as his heel is wounded. His wife shakes her head. "Why did you have to buy shoes that are much too small for you?" Gilbert replies, "Only one of them is too small. That's why they were such a bargain." 40. Ticket control. I remember when I was a kid, I spent some time in Germany. I even went to school there. In this country, trains are an essential part of daily transportation. We were a group of 4 children, and it was winter with a lot of snow. Irma was one of the smaller children. At that time, she was only 11 years old. We made a trip by train from Munich to a smaller city. It was a nice and modern train, and we had even our own compartment. We heard somebody knocking on the door. It was the ticket inspector, a man in uniform, just to see if we had bought tickets. One by one he inspected the tickets, but Irma was nervously searching her bag. She couldn't find her ticket. The inspector asked for her identification, then told her to follow him. At that time, the train had stopped at a little town. We waited for Irma to return, but nothing happened. Suddenly the train moved, and through the window we could see Irma standing by herself, frightened, at the train station. But Irma looked different. Then we noticed that Irma was just standing there without her jacket. She had left it at her seat, and apparently the inspector had kicked her off the train, letting her practically freeze to death at the station 41. Unemployed, Laura finds herself unemployed again. For the last 3 years, she has been working as an accountant, but the company went bankrupt. The company she was with before has outsourced all the accounting to a company in India. Over the last decade or so, Laura has been employed on and off, sometimes with many jobless months in between. Nevertheless, Laura thinks of herself as a reliable, punctual, and trustworthy person, and with a little luck, she thinks she soon will be employed again. Every day, she searches the classified employment websites and also the local newspapers for job openings. She sends out her resume to every company she can think of in the hope for work, since unemployment diminishes her savings. One of her most important principles is to never give up. Her dream job is still being an accountant, but she knows times have changed. She is flexible, as finding work as a secretary would serve her as well. 42. Divorced. Last year I divorced my husband. My former husband is an alcoholic and cannot support his family. Fortunately, the children are already working, but still they need financial support. Once in a while I am meeting other divorced mothers at weekly meetups. Often we do excursions or share leisure activities. Some of my divorced friends will marry again, as it happens quite a lot, I noticed. If people stay alone too long, they become often alcoholics themselves. I have said goodbye not only to my husband but also to alcohol. I am on the best way to master my life anew. 43. Buses and trains. Marco and Jane are siblings. Every weekend in the morning, they start a trip to visit their grandmother. Their grandmother lives in a distant city. Since the siblings don't have a car, they need to take public transportation, precisely the train and the bus. First, they have to take a communal train to the next major city. At the main train station, they have to take the metro train to get to the other side of the city. After that, when they have finally arrived at the last station outside the city, they have to take a bus to get to their final destination, a village in the countryside. The whole journey takes about half a day, and usually they arrive just before lunch. After resting an hour or so, they leave and take the trip back to the city, taking the trains again just to arrive home at dinner time. They both save eagerly to buy a car, as a trip to their grandmother by car would just take about an hour. 44. A famous book. For about a month, I have been reading a fascinating book written by a famous author. The book is a novel and is about an old man who goes out fishing in the ocean. He has to fight a large and mighty fish, and in the end, the old man wins this struggle. However, the book shows a deeper meaning. The author is Ernest Hemingway, who wrote the novel The Old Man and the Sea in 1951 in Cuba. This work is considered as one of the best in world literature. He was awarded the Nobel Prize for World Literature. I am fascinated by this book, and I'd love to read more from this author. I also think that good books are much better than movies. 45. A Simple Salad Lisa works in a fine dining restaurant in London. She just started 2 weeks ago. Most often, she works in the kitchen, but when the restaurant is busy, she must also help out as a waitress. The chef is well known and a celebrity, and today he will work in the kitchen himself. Dinner service has started, and the first orders are coming in. The chef shouts at Lisa, "I need a simple salad, Lisa." Lisa immediately starts to work on it. First, she cuts lettuce and then mixes the salad with sliced cucumbers. She also chops a tomato in 4 pieces, cuts an onion and a few olives into the salad. In the end, she mixes all the ingredients with olive oil, vinegar, salt, and pepper. "The salad is ready," Lisa shouts out. The chef looks bewildered at the plate. "This is what you call a simple salad?" 46. Easter in England and Europe in general is a holiday that involves the whole family. On Good Friday in the countryside, they often make bonfires where family and friends gather for some barbecue, and sometimes music is played. The Easter festival is a tradition in many countries. For children, Easter morning is the most important day of the festival. In the morning hours, children love to paint hard-boiled eggs and hide them in the bushes. They make a game out of it to find the hidden eggs, but not all of the eggs are always found. Even weeks after Easter, there are times when the land stinks of rotten eggs that haven't been found. 47. Vegan food. Maria knows that she needs to stay on a diet. She has read many diet cookbooks and does stretching exercises in the morning hours. She also has studied and experimented with many diet recipes, but a lot of recipes contain meat which Maria tries to avoid. However, cooking takes a lot of time, and whenever possible she tries to find a healthy restaurant, as she doesn't want to cook every day. A good friend of hers told her about a good vegetarian restaurant. Maria tries the restaurant and finds the dishes delicious. Almost all of the dishes are vegetarian, and some are even only vegan. After a short time, Maria has become a regular customer. Her favorite meal is a vegetable soup, which is supposed to have no meat at all. One day she asks the cook why the soup is always so delicious, as she wants to know the secret. The cook answers that he is always using chicken stock. 48. Evacuation. We are retirees and live in a nursing home. Last fall, we had a big storm. The storm was only the beginning. After it poured for days, the whole town became flooded. In the end, we had a power outage. The heating, electricity, and even the telephone was dead. At first, we took it lightly, but at night it got really cold with the temperature dropping below 0. It took 3 days until the buses arrived. They were supposed to evacuate us. To our surprise, the buses did not pick us up. Instead, they stopped next door, where there's a luxury resort. The rich people were removed first, and we were told they were able to charter the buses for a lot of money. We could not compete with the rates. When they left, the guests winked at us through the windows. We stayed in the nursing home, and fortunately, after a few more days, the neighbors and private individuals evacuated us one by one. 49. Working men. I used to work on a construction site, and I would call myself a construction worker. In those days, I had to carry a lot of heavy material, often bricks and cement. At times, I also had to clean asphalt manually with a broom. One day, a little girl approached me and asked me why I sweated so much. I told her, "It's because I have to work so hard." But she continued by asking me, "Why don't I do anything else?" I replied, "Because I am only qualified for heavy labor." Suddenly my boss came and yelled at me, "What are you doing? I am paying you to work, not to stand around." I replied, "The girl was just asking me an innocent question." "What did she ask you?" "Why I was sweating so much." "Enough," he said. "We are not a daycare center. Move it." The next day, I didn't return to work. I tried to find something else. Eventually, I found a good-paying job cleaning sewers. The new job had one advantage. At least I didn't have to sweat that much. 50. Under the lamppost, Martin is studying in Paris and found a night shift job in a restaurant. Although he is studying and working hard, he doesn't feel quite at home yet. One reason is that he doesn't have any social contacts. He is more of a dreamer and still has to figure out how to spend his free time. Every evening when he comes home from work, he has to walk through a park. It is an empty, large park. Except for a few runners, there are not too many people. It's a beautiful park with typical French lanterns and benches. One evening, Martin notices a woman standing by herself under a lamppost. She seems to be waiting for someone. Martin also thinks the woman is quite attractive. The next evening, the same woman waits again under the lamppost. At night, when Martin goes to bed, he still thinks of the woman, a very attractive woman with light makeup and high heels. The situation occurs again and again over the next few weeks. However, Martin is too shy to speak to her, although sometimes he wishes he had more courage to do so. On a Friday evening, Martin approaches the woman. Today, he is determined to talk to her. The woman receives him with a broad smile. She says, "Are you coming with me?" 51. My best friend. I have been friends with Rachel since high school. Now 5 years later, we are still in regular contact, even though we live in different cities. When it comes to important things in life, we are always supporting each other. We both still have plans to continue at a specific university. This will be a perfect way to support each other again. My strong sides have always been mathematics and physics, while my friend prefers languages and the arts. Somehow, I always know what she doesn't, and the other way around. At times, we even support each other when we are anxious or upset. I had to calm her down a couple of times, especially when she had trouble with her boyfriend. The bottom line is that we have an indestructible friendship, which I hope will survive anything. 52. Preparations. My name is Nico, and next Friday I will celebrate my birthday in my new apartment. I am going to be 30 years old. In the morning hours, my family will come to visit me. My parents will come with my siblings and grandparents. In the evening, I will meet all my friends, as they all have received an invitation. Actually, I have invited them to stay for dinner as well. My mother is going to help me since I am a rather poor cook. She will prepare some chicken or meat, and most importantly, she promised to bring a big cake. The cake must be decorated with 30 candles. I think it will be a custom-made cake from a bakery that also does artistic cakes. I heard that he doesn't accept all customers, which makes me smile. Anyway, this will be a really important birthday party for me. 53. Social media. My name is Nicole. The most important aspect of life to me is looking and feeling healthy. Being beautiful is also a part of my business. A few years ago, I started an online business where I sell cosmetics and perfume. To expand my business, I use different social media platforms to spread the message, such as Twitter and Facebook. Additionally, I use powerful visual social media. My favorites are Instagram and Pinterest.